Greetings, Helldivers. Today I continue my journey backwards in time, ranking the Warbonds that have been out for a long time. So without further ado, let's get to one of my favorite Warbonds in Helldivers 2, Servants of Freedom. The first weapon that you can get in the Warbond is Double-Edged Sickle. This thing goes straight to S tier. I personally think this is the best primary in the game. Endless ammo, no need to reload, sustained fire, light to heavy penetration, great fire rate, and all of that just for being burned a bit, which can be perfectly countered by a fire-resistant armor. In my book, this is a perfect weapon. Of course, some of you will say that to properly use this gun, you have to use a fire-resistant armor. But for me, that's not a problem, because I understand that you gotta have some trade-offs. The second weapon that you can get from this Warbond is GP20 Ultimatum. And again, I don't think that it will be a huge surprise to anybody. This goes straight into the S tier as well. This is easily the best secondary weapon in the game. It is extremely versatile. It is a great utility weapon. It is a great anti-tank weapon. It is a great crowd control weapon. And the only negative thing that I can say about Ultimatum is that it is so addictive, it is really hard to make yourself use other secondaries instead of it. One of the most legendary weapons in Helldivers 2, and to me, the entire Helldivers 2 timeline is divided into before and after Ultimatum. G50 Seeker Grenade. It is a cool grenade that follows your enemy. It has a decent damage and it can be really useful. However, personally I don't find myself using it that often. This may change, however, because recently I've been on a run of re-evaluating different throwables, and maybe I will change my mind about the Seeker. However, for now, I will put it in a B tier. Now, just to clarify, B tier is not bad. So if you see me put something into a B tier, it doesn't mean that I hate this thing. It is just a proper weapon that I personally do not use that often. The next big thing that you can get from this Warbond is Portable Hellbomb. And if you are a regular viewer of this channel, you already know that this is my absolute favorite stratagem in the entire game. So it goes straight into the S tier. As you know, I like to shuffle my stratagems, I like to experiment with my loadouts. However, every time that I launch Helldivers 2 and I play for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, it is almost guaranteed that for at least few missions I will take a portable hellbomb with me. I love this thing with all my heart. The CQC5 Combat Hatchet, which is a weapon that you can get through a superstore branch of this Warbond. Now, I think that melee weapons in general should receive a special treatment from Arrowhead, because right now they all feel half-baked, if I'm being honest. This is not to say that melee weapons are bad. However, I think that all of them should be rebalanced. We should get a separate melee slot and maybe get a few more armor passives that buff the melee damage. As for this particular weapon, I will put it into a B tier, right where I would put the majority of melee weapons in this game. The Integrated Explosives Armor Passive. Now, I'm gonna be honest, there are much better armor passives in this game, and the primary quality of this passive, which is your armor explodes after you die, make this armor passive almost a meme. However, it still increases the number of your throwables by 2, making this armor passive somewhat usable. Still, I do not really find this armor passive really useful. C tier. Now, as for the armors themselves, you gotta understand that quite frequently I'm wearing an armor not because of its passive, but just because it looks cool. And the first armor that you can get in this Warbond, IE3 Martyr armor, is a great looking armor. I'm not using it quite frequently these days, however when I first got the Warbond, I was running it quite often. So for me, this is an A tier armor. The second armor that you can get in this Warbond, IE12 Righteous, doesn't really feel that different from the first one. It looks almost identical, though I kinda prefer the first one. So this one for me is a B tier. The IE57 Hellbent armor is probably the coolest looking armor in this Warbond, and you can get it through a superstore. Still though, I don't think that this armor is cool enough to be sold separately in the superstore. It is a great armor, but could I live without it? Probably yes. So for me, it is B tier. The first helmet that you can get in this Warbond is IE3 Mortar helmet. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not wear this helmet a single time. As much as I love helmets that replicate human face, I do not really vibe with this one in particular, so for me it is a B tier. This one, however, is a direct opposite of the previous helmet. The IE12 Righteous is my single absolute favorite helmet in Helldivers 2. 99% of the time I wear this helmet and I try to use armors that look good with this particular helmet. It probably would not look as good without this hood around it. However, if we are judging solely by the way it is in the game, for me this is the coolest looking piece of cosmetics in the entire game. S tier. Now, I know that IE57 Hellbent helmet is one of the favorite helmets around the Helldivers 2 community. A lot of people use it, however, I am not one of them. This helmet doesn't do anything much for me, though I acknowledge it looks really cool. However, me personally, I never used it even a single time. B tier. Now, I am not really a huge fan of short capes in Helldivers 2, however, Frey Liberum cape is absolutely among the best short capes in the game. A tier. A Per Democrasum cape is one of my favorite capes in the game, and I run it quite frequently. S tier. Just like Frey Liberum, Vision of Freedom cape is one of the best looking short capes in the game. A tier. A Servant of Freedom rank is one of the coolest looking ranks in the game and the coolest sounding ranks in the game. S tier. I used to have a Per Democrasum player card as my background for quite a long time. However, there are much better player cards in the game, therefore this one goes to A tier. A Frey Liberum player card is a cool looking card, however, I never used it and I don't really think that I ever will, therefore B tier. The Vision of Freedom player card is one of the coolest looking player cards in the game, all thanks to this face right here, and I cannot put it anywhere else outside S tier. The Raise Weapon emote is a cool emote, especially considering that you can fire your weapon while doing it. However, I personally do not use it that often. Still, I cannot put it anywhere below A tier. So here are my rankings. Servants of Freedom is easily one of the best warbonds in the game. If we would rate it purely on weapons alone, it is easily an S tier warbond. It has some of the best items in the game, and you should get yourself this warbond as soon as possible, because I think it is essential for a complete Helldivers 2 experience. So that wraps it up, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching this far. Please tell me whether you agree or disagree with my rankings of the items from this warbond. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.